Hi. Well, in earlier parts of the journey that I'm sharing around healing body distortion, I shared how body image distortion took root for me, how it evolved and into a control through exercise and supplements. Today in part 4, I'm going to talk to you about how I controlled it through food. Food became a big filter. On the outside, it looked like discipline. And again, just like exercise, for me, people looked up to me for this. I inspired them. I'd often hear, wow, you're so good. That's why you look so good. I could never restrict XYZ. It looked like awareness, this incredible discipline that I had, that I was revered for. Um, it looked like I was doing everything right. But underneath, I was measuring literally everything. Food became something I tracked, I calculated, I controlled. I literally weighed my meals or counted the pieces of whatever food because that equaled X amount of calories or X amount of fat. I weighed myself every day, and for almost 30 years. And each number every day determined what I would eat next or how much I felt I need to adjust. It just wasn't about health anymore. It was about chasing this moving target that never felt like enough. And the harshest part for me, I now see, was the constant inner dialogue, that quiet criticism that shaped literally every decision. Every decision. So if you ever felt like your day was dictated by a number, or like your worth shifted based on what you ate or what the scale said, well, you're not alone. And this part of the journey for me is bringing about awareness to the patterns that at that time felt normal, but kept me so disconnected from myself. So I'm going to go back to where I shared. I would say that the early distortions shared, where it was more like I was depriving myself of food because that was pre-teens, even it started back where I wouldn't eat anything all day, or if I was publicly eating in front of my family, my friends, anybody, I would choose salads or fruits because then I was saying, oh, hey, it's not my fault that I look the way that I do. I'm eating all these healthy foods. But then I would go home and eat whatever I wanted to. And that often meant I was eating behind a closed door. So that was that piece where it shifted for me to use, I'll call it programs or formulas, was when I started to work for that maximum security center or rehab center for young men, and I got into the martial arts because at that time it was like proving to myself or others that I was so strong that I could blast through multiple bricks or boards and do 60 push-ups and hops with somebody on my back. It was literally like that was feeding like my ego, the monkey mind. Like, see, nobody thought I could do this, and here I am. Now, at that time, it was so much about endurance for me, and I was running 10, 12 miles multiple times a week. So what did I do? I went to Google. I went to the internet and I said, what should I eat to help me sustain this energy so I can continue to be this high endurance athlete? And it told me lots of carbs, but minimal fats, So that's what I did for a long time. Then it turned into, oh, that's not enough. I want to have really chiseled arms or legs or abs. What do I need to do there? Oh, well, I need more protein there. And I remember I came across one of many programs that I did, but the first program where it said, okay, if you want to achieve this, then okay, I think it was the 70-20-10 principle, 70% uh, protein, 20%, if I have this right, yeah, 20% fat and 10% carbs or something like that. And so there it began, the tracking. And I created my own little tracker. I created it, every little detail, calorie, the time of day, the food. I had a note at the end, um, and I would write down the what was on the scale for me, and I got a body fat tester for home. I did it all, and every single day, this is what I did for years. Programs shifted. I also then turned to, I was speaking to you about Dextratrim at an early age, in an earlier part, but this turned into any kind of fat burner. But as long as it was natural or organic, uh, meaning it used green tea, or I think it was called Mao Wang, if I'm saying that right. But they were all these crazy fat burners or crazy caffeine that made me feel like I was literally about to take off every moment. But I didn't care. I didn't care. I had the jitters all day. I was very, my emotions were very sharp. I would change quickly, moody, but it didn't matter because at that time it was so important to me. It was all about how I looked. And that, how I looked and what the numbers reflected back to me indicated for me was my barometer on how happy I was. And those moments for a long time, and this was everyday moments, I was completely unconscious. It was just something that was running, like this constant program that was just running underneath me and through me, that I just allowed it. And that's why I started out saying that it literally, this took over. It affected every aspect of my life. I, based on how I was feeling, I decided what I was doing that evening, if I would go out to dinner, if I would stay home, where I'd travel, if I could control that, if it wasn't for work. I would go out to restaurants. I would call the restaurant in advance, oftentimes, if I had no control over where the restaurant we were going to, and ask them if they could specifically make this for me, because I didn't want to be embarrassed about asking for a specific meal, which generally was like, can you, bake a chicken, no oil, and do steamed veggies. So there's also still this embarrassment because everybody around me was enjoying this whatever beautiful food we were having. And so this again pattern went forever. I tried every program. Well, I'm a personal trainer. I should know all these programs. I should know if they work. And I did them all, and oftentimes multiple times a year. And then I would use that for my clients. And by the way, at that time, I was getting some kind of results. But again, surface level results. My clients were. The question is, did any of us sustain it? And the answer is no, because it was so restrictive. And for me, that's all I knew. That's all I knew. The control came from when I can create this formula for how to be your best self, follow these rules step by step, track everything, and then you will get the thing that you're going after, the more muscle, the chiseled whatever. And that's what it was for me for forever. It's felt like forever. And so when I finally became aware, one is because at some point, I will tell you, those programs, like we'll even go back. Oh, 15 years ago, this program worked, or this supplement worked, this fat burner worked. I'm going to try it again. And guess what? It didn't work. None of them. Everything stopped working. Everything. And so did, I'll call my mental health. I didn't know what to do. What can I do? And that led to me actually going to my doctor and just, I remember being so upset because here I am as I'm, yes, I understand. Everyone's telling me you're getting older, your metabolism is slowing more. And I was like, there's no way. I've worked too hard for this. And my doctor recommended a rapid weight loss injection. And I would take it. It was like 500 calories a day. And then all of a sudden, once again, I go, oh, thank goodness, I feel better. That's what I thought. What happened 6 months later, 5 months later? Well, slowly started to creep up again. And I would ask her, can I take it again? Well, you have to give it a little bit more space. Uh, did that for a couple years. Every year for probably, I'm going to say 4 or 5 years. Until I met my current guide, who's helped me tremendously through all of this, to really look at that underlying judgment and how it's played out in my life. And at a time, I really felt like, oh my gosh, I'd been a fraud. Like I felt like I was a fraud because here I was, I spent all these years, all these clients I've taught, I've coached, I've preached. And I say preach because no matter who I talked to, a friend or family, I started to see how often I went into, if they mentioned anything about they weren't feeling great in their body, I would immediately go, okay, I have the formula for you. It's got to do this, this, and this, that. It didn't always work, right? Because I was applying a bit of a one size fits all approach. Now I recognize that it's not a one size fits all approach, one, but the most important thing is that it's the relationship. I talked about right relationship yesterday with even supplements, but the right relationship with the food. And I started to recognize, and my guide helped me with this, is to open up the refrigerator. I didn't even know really what intuitive eating was because of this program that was so deeply ingrained in me. And she said, go to the refrigerator, open up the refrigerator. Now you have to not be here in the monkey mind, as I call it. You have to be in your heart and really look at your refrigerator, and you have some options there or your cabinet, and say, what would feel best for me right now? This or that. And I started to do that in very small ways, quite frankly, just little things. I wanted a snack, did I want a piece of cheese or I wanted an apple? Which one would feel better for me right now? And I started to do that. And slowly I started to tune into that. And again, I wouldn't say that I perfected this in any way. There's no perfection in this, but I'm still learning to do that so that it just comes so naturally to me. But that helped me to see and start to cut those the ties, um, the disconnect from this immense distortion that I had. And so much so that I now today can stand before you and say I have healed so much of that. But it will creep in, and I have to be the observer, catch it. And if I do, and I say, "Oh, I just did that out of total fear," I've also learned how not to judge myself on that. To go, well, of course. I mean, look at how many years I fed it. It was an unconscious. It was a habit. It was a habit. Now I'm creating new healthy habits, truly healthy habits that really align for what will make me happy. Because I know that happiness is a choice. And I can look at everything in my life and start to say, what would align to my personal happiness right now? So that was my journey, my continued journey with food, and I'll leave you with this, which has really helped, is that I tuning into the love of the food, and also looking at who's I happen to live. My partner is, he wasn't trained as a gourmet chef, but he loves cooking. It's such a passion for his. And he puts love into literally everything he makes. I don't care if it's an omelet or I don't care if it's, a beautiful dinner. Uh, he puts love into everything. And now I go to appreciation because I know he's put that. And that love is going to then be consumed by me. So the filters have slowly been unraveling over the last, say five, more like 2 years. But I've been starting to look at it, about 5 years ago to go, this doesn't feel right to me. But now it's starting to take less of a hold of me. I can feel it. So one pathway for me is, okay, am I judging? Am I shaming? Am I blaming myself for that? And shifting that to, okay, that's not me anymore. What do I want to do? What feels good to me? And then looking at the source that's coming in. What would feel good? How would my body feel if I take that in? So that's my journey and how I am continuing to heal from that grip that food had on me so deeply. Um, Anyways, I hope this resonated with some of you, and I'll be in here again for part 5 soon. And until then, take care, everyone. Bye.